Hi guys, Nige here, and today I'm doing a review from isolation because sadly we've got COVID in the house, so my driveway is about as far as I can go. No riding, unfortunately for me. Anyway, there's 1,000 riding reviews of Royal Enfield 650s out there, so we probably don't need another one. So instead, let's talk about the long-term build quality and reliability of these things. So back in 2019, I was lucky enough to be invited on the official Australia media launch of these, and we had a cracking couple of days thrashing around south of Sydney. There's a link to the video that they made in the description, plus the review that I wrote for Road Rider. I managed to blag a GT for a couple of weeks after the event, and here's just a few thoughts that I had at the time. Let's cut to the chase. It's a bloody good motorbike. It's so far been an extremely enjoyable motorcycle to ride around on. The engine is just a gem. It's really good. It's only a bit under 50 horsepower and a bit over 50 newton meters, but it's great fun. Fueling, absolutely perfect. Got nothing to say about that. It's no snatch from a closed throttle, no hunting on small throttle openings. Yeah, just nothing to say bad about that at all. The chassis feels just dead right. It's designed by Harris Performance in the UK. If you know anything about Harris, you'll know that they've been around forever and are absolute legends, and they've done a really good job of this. It feels perfect. Obviously the one thing I can't tell you about is long-term reliability, although I have thrashed the utter pants off of this thing. Forgotten to use the clutch, up and down, bounced it off the rev limiter more times than I can count. Generally giving it quite a hard time in the week and a half I've had it. It comes with a 3-year unlimited kilometre warranty and 3 years roadside assist, and if I was a learner rider I would be queuing up to buy one of these things. So I'm not a learner rider, but 3 years later it seems like I did queue up and buy one of these things. And what's interesting about this is that this is one of the bikes that I actually rode at that original launch. Since then it's been through various journalists, magazines, websites, you name it, and it's been a dealer demo for most of its life. Now, I'm not going to suggest that journos ride these things as if they're intentionally trying to break them, but they certainly give them a hard time, and the same goes for people who take out dealer demos. I'm pretty sure they don't ride them in the same caring manner that they might ride their own bikes. I'm going to suggest that this thing's probably done more wheelies, skids and burnouts than I've had hot dinners. So if we were looking for a bike that was ever likely to show up any kind of manufacturing or reliability issues, this must surely be a contender. Now, when I heard this bike was coming up for sale, I actually went and picked it up from another journo, and pointing no fingers, but it was in a shocking state. The calipers were black, it was covered in filth, the engine cases were horrible, looked like it had never had a proper wash in its life, and I have to say I nearly changed my mind about buying the thing. Anyway, it was the Christmas holidays, so I just parked it in my garage and over time just cleaned a bit here, cleaned a bit there, got under the engine, gave that a good looking at, took the wheels off, gave them all a proper clean, and honestly I was amazed at how good everything was underneath. There's no corrosion, no pitting, no nothing, and it speaks volumes for the finishes on this thing. In fact, you'd be hard pressed to pick this from brand new. When I got it, it had just had its 10,000 service, and I did another 5,000 not particularly careful kilometres on it, and I thought, just out of interest and safety's sake, I'll drop the oil out of it and see what it was like. And frankly, what came out was almost as good as what I put back into it. There was no metal on the drain plug, and really I needn't have bothered. So as I said, I've had this for almost exactly a year now. It's got 17,500 kilometres on the thing. So what issues have I had? Well, not much, to be honest. The clocks have misted up on me, I think maybe twice, which is a known issue. Perhaps not so much if you live in Sydney, but if you were living in London in the winter, might be more of an issue. There is a very slight pulsing from the front brake, just at really low speeds, just as you come into a stop. I've checked the run out on the disc and that seems absolutely fine. I've had the calipers apart and cleaned them a few times. That doesn't seem to have fixed the problem. When the time comes for me to put new pads in it, I might toy with the idea of putting a new disc in, see if that fixes it. It's not a major problem, but it's definitely there. The other thing I've had go wrong with it really is a few times after what's usually a long run, it will just hesitate on the throttle as if you're flicking the kill switch on and off, or the fuel pumps switching on and off. I've chucked some new relays in this and that seems to have fixed the problem. It's a super easy thing to do and they're about 20-25 bucks a pop. I would say probably the biggest issue with this is there's a very slight oil mist from one of the horizontal crankcase joins. Usually takes a couple of 100 kilometers before you can start to see it. Of course, I've just cleaned the bike so you can't see it now. It doesn't affect the oil level in any way and it doesn't seem to be getting any worse, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that. And that's it. Now, I'm not suggesting that just because a motorcycle still works after 3 years, that's any reason to break out the champagne. But what I am saying is if you're thinking about buying one of these and you're worried in any way that it's not built in Europe or Japan, then I think this probably is as good a test as you're going to find out there. And like I say, this has been as reliable as anything I've ever ridden. In the end, this bike rides almost as well as it did back in 2019 when I first rode this actual example on that media launch. What's more, if it means anything at all, I think 5 or 6 Australian journos have actually put their hands in their pockets and shelled out and bought one of these things, and I would imagine there isn't another motorcycle that you'll be able to say that about.